Chip Washington. It's real talk. Man, it's real talk with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the man got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And on this beautiful, beautiful Monday, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the experience I like to call Real Talk Memphis with your humble host, Chip Washington. Very happy to be back in the air chair this week. Took a week off last week, so it's been a couple of weeks since we have seen and commiserated with one another, so to speak. I hope you have been doing well. I hope that everything has been going good. I'm going to call this Vaccination Central 3/4 because I have had my first vaccination shot. I will have my second one this Friday. And Adam, who is producing the broadcast tonight, had his first shot today. Yeah, he's only 18 years old, but he had his first shot today. And he said the strangest thing about it was he didn't even know he got it once he got it. So you know what? For those of you out there who haven't done it yet, Marquette, those of you who haven't done it yet, please, especially you young folks, and I'm going to get into all that in a few minutes, please get your vaccinations 16 and up. Starting today, 16 and up. No, 60. Oh, Marquette said he's 15. Yeah, okay, that's right. That's a nice move. Quick, very quick. So we need to get on Marquette to get his shot, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, how's everybody doing? You guys all right? I hope that everybody had a wonderful Easter yesterday. And I think for those of us who have been vaccinated, we were able to gather with some family and close friends and actually hug and kind of be around each other without a mask. And I know that happened in my house, and I was really, really happy. It was a good time, and there's something liberating about not having a mask and not having to do all these certain type of things after a year's time. But more on that a bit later on, because we're going to have a conversation with someone who is, I would say, expert on all things COVID a little bit later on in the broadcast. But as always, if you are celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, or a special occasion, congratulations to each and every one of you. I hope it was absolutely magnificent and marvelous, and you had an absolute blast. So good for you. Congratulations. A lot of folks on Facebook had birthdays today. One of these times, you guys are going to realize that if you send me a note to my social media page and say, Chip, got a birthday coming up, man. Can you hook me up? Can you throw me out a little shout out on your show? You're going to figure this thing out one of these times. By the way, did you know we're a podcast? We're actually a podcast, which means that we are on various platforms all around the country. Now, I mean, from Spotify to TuneIn to Google Play to Apple to SoundCloud, all these, these platforms that host podcasts. And I would just ask, if you like this show and you support this show, go to your favorite place to get a podcast, call up Real Talk Memphis with Chip Washington, and hit subscribe. We can't grow unless we go. So I'm telling y'all to go, okay? All right, news and notes. As I said a minute ago, everybody over the age of 16 can now get vaccinated anywhere in this country. The city of Memphis, starting Wednesday, is going to go 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. That would be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day for the next, I think, 6 weeks, give or take. The idea, of course, is to vaccinate as many people as we possibly can so we can achieve herd immunity, so we could get back to some sense of normalcy at some particular point or another, hopefully by later on this year. Call 222-SHOT or go to the City of Memphis website to sign up. We have, now I want everybody to hear this because I know you don't want to hear it. COVID cases around the country are increasing again. Why? Because there is a variant strain. Actually, there's about 3 variant strains that are starting to take a hold. The one in particular that most folks are concerned about is the B117 strain. That is the UK variant, and it's really starting to spread here in Shelby County. There are states around the country who are seeing an increase in cases and hospitalizations. Now, peep this. The primary carrier, if you will, of this virus is the younger age groups, primarily under the age of 45. So 45 and under are the ones that are very susceptible to it or catching it as well. You're going to hear this later on in the broadcast, but this virus is 30% more deadly and 50% more transmissible than the original strain that we have been dealing with. So this is no joke. I mean, if it's left unchecked and folks don't take the necessary precautions, we could see a possible third wave. Now, I said a few minutes ago that we are going to have a rather detailed conversation about that. In my second half hour, Dr. Manoj Jain is going to join me, and we're going to talk all things COVID-19. We're going to talk variant strains. We're going to talk vaccinations and what we need to do in order to hold things down until we can get enough folks vaccinated so we can move forward. So we'll be talking to Dr. Jain in the second half hour of the show. So if you want some good information, I would advise you to tune in. Locally here, very disturbing story that happened. I'm sure many of you heard about the death of a 4-year-old. Young man, baby, basically, was in a car with several adult males. One of the males inside the car ended up getting into some sort of a verbal argument with somebody who was standing outside the car yelling at him or them. And the gentleman outside the car fired a shot inside the car. It struck the 4-year-old, and unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries. He died. And of course, that anytime you have something like that, it always tends to get the attention, of most people. And, we got a problem. What do we do? How are we going to take care of it? This, that, and the whole 9 yards. Well, look, we have a big problem here. And we have had one for a while now. And crime is out of control. Folks don't have any respect for each other. Clearly, when something like this happens, now we got to bury a 4-year-old. The man who fired the shot from outside the vehicle has been identified as Terrell Woods. He is still at large at this hour. So I'm pretty sure they'll catch him. But this is the kind of tragic situation that you would think would get enough people's attention that we would really try to do something about it. Now, something that is not going to help this situation is what has happened over the past week. If you have been paying attention, there has been an issue of passing a bill that would allow a permitless handgun carry. Basically, you need nothing to be able to carry any kind of weapon in your car. Okay. And these little restrictions about, well, if you've been convicted of a felony or this and that, you can't get a gun. Look, this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in recent memory or even in past memory. I mean, in a county like Shelby, in a city like Memphis, where we see gun violence every 10 minutes in this town, somebody's getting shot. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way. To have a law like this or lawlessness like this to basically allow anybody to carry a handgun in their car anytime they want to without any kind of repercussion or anything else. We have highway shootings every other day in this town. Can you imagine driving down 240 and you're minding your own business and you're doing your own thing, and one of these idiots that likes to weave in and out of traffic, pulls up beside you, looks over at you, and holds up a handgun. Just holds it up. Doesn't point necessarily at you, but just holds it up to a woman or somebody who clearly wasn't expecting it. Can you imagine what kind of havoc that's going to cause in this town? We are about to get a new police director in this city, and that will take place, I guess, within the next, week or two. Actually thought we were going to have an announcement tomorrow at the city council meeting, but late this afternoon, the city said that process was going to be delayed because they had one more candidate that they wanted to interview. Now, on its face, you can assume a lot of different things behind that. That's a very interesting thing to me. The first question is why? I mean, if we were that close to making a decision, then what has happened? Well, there could be several things that have happened, but in and of itself, there will not be a selection tomorrow. The panel who interviewed the initial candidates will be brought back to interview another candidate. She's a black female. Now, forgive me, I can't remember where she's from, one of the Carolinas, I believe. So we'll see what happens with this. In the meantime, a week from next Wednesday, the 14th, is the last day for Police Director Mike Rollins. He will enter into retirement. Program note, he will be on this show. He will be on Real Talk Memphis next Monday, and I would imagine will be one of his last interviews as a police director before he retires. So we have a lot to talk about, and I'm getting my thoughts gathered and my notes ready for him. So next Monday, Police Director Mike Rollins will be one of my guests. And before we go to break, I just wanted to throw a hats off, salute, high five, however you want to put it. Carmion Hamilton. Carmion Hamilton, if you don't know the name, she is a designer. She is such a great designer that she won Design Star Next Gen on HGTV, which is Home and Garden Television. She won that competition. That's a very, very big deal for her. So, Carmion Hamilton, we are very, very happy and very, very proud of you, and I am efforting to get her on my show too. So stay tuned for that. And finally, before we go to break, March Madness, it all ends tonight. The big game at 8:20 p.m. Central Time, which means I have plenty of time to do this show and get home and get comfortable to watch Baylor versus Gonzaga. And if you saw that Gonzaga UCLA game over the weekend, oh my goodness, what a great game. So who you got? I have the Zags. Neither team has ever won a national championship, so I think it's going to be a really, really good game. So we'll see what happens. All right, so we have completed our news and notes segment. Now we're about to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. My guest tonight, my first guest, is someone who can very ably speak to the air transit situation in Memphis and Shelby County. Glen Thomas is the spokesperson for the Memphis and Shelby County Airport Authority. He's going to join me to talk about, hey, it's good to be a flyer again. The airports are getting full again. People are jumping on planes and flying from here to there and everywhere. So we'll talk to him about all of that, almost post-COVID, because everybody's going everywhere now. The weather's getting warm. Y'all getting antsy. So we'll talk about that, and a whole lot more is referencing to the future of what is going to happen at Memphis International Airport. This is Real Talk Memphis. You know who you are. You might even know who I am. Back in a minute.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
University of Memphis student who is looking for some place to showcase your talents while learning about the radio broadcasting industry at the same time? Well, bring your talents to The Roar and WYXR. Join The Roar, the University of Memphis student-led radio live stream where you can serve as a DJ, work in news or sports, or other creative roles. We are also looking for U of M students to serve as interns with WYXR 91.7 FM, the university's radio partnership with Crosstown Concourse and the Daily Memphian. For more information or questions regarding WYXR or The Roar, please email us at theroar@memphis.edu.
The Orpheum Theater Group thanks you for supporting their nonprofit mission to entertain, educate, and enlighten while preserving the historic Orpheum and the modern Halloran Center. More on events, programs, and ways to give at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis. I am your humble host, Chip Washington. Now, a quick reminder, this WYXR 91.7 Memphis is a nonprofit community radio station. So, we need your help and we need your support to keep us going around here. So please donate if it is in your heart to do so. You can do that at wyxr.org/donate. We would really appreciate it. And I am really appreciative of my first guest tonight. We are, of course, seeing the weather getting warmer. It is full out spring, temperatures pushing 80 degrees. Folks that have been cocooned for the last year are able to get out and travel and do some things. And that means flying from here to there. The airports are starting to fill up a bit around here and around the country. And we're going to talk a little bit about that with a young man who is the spokesman for the Memphis and Shelby County Airport Authority. His name is Glen Thomas. Glen, thanks for being with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Hey, Chip, thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. And so obviously, Glen, there have been challenging times for all of us the past year in every particular form or fashion. No more so than the airports and the airlines and things like that. First of all, can you tell us how much or how I don't know how to exactly say this, but how did it affect you in terms of obviously we knew the business was cut down, but there had to be other layers to this whole COVID thing that really caused some stressful times for the airport authority. Am I correct in that?
Definitely. And I think, each one of us has been affected, probably different levels of significance, but all of us have been affected by this, whether it's at home or at work. But for us at the airport, of course, as you mentioned, the main thing was that traffic essentially came to a halt, not just here, but everywhere across the United States, across the world, Canada, internationally. It really came to a standstill. So what that meant for the entire aviation industry is a loss of revenue. And, of course, with that came additional concerns, health concerns for the employees. So many of our employees, myself included, began to work from home. Of course, some of our employees, they simply can't do that. They have to work there on site, such as our airfield maintenance, many other departments. They've got to be there on site. So with those employees, we had to focus on COVID protocols, making sure that they were safe, making sure that we instituted some new procedures to ensure their safety and to mitigate the spread.
How difficult was that, Glen? Speaking of what you had to do, reconfigure everything, and in every particular element of what it is that an airport does on a daily basis that many of us have absolutely no clue about. How difficult was it to be able to navigate the changes necessary just to try to stay functioning on a daily basis?
Well, it was very challenging, and I think we're no different from other industries, but at the same time, we have a rather unique focus. So certainly it was a learning experience, and we learned as we went along. We are not health experts, so we have closely watched and closely communicated with the CDC and the health department in making sure that we were doing the right thing for both our passengers and our employees. I think an example in particular I can give is when we had the ice storms a couple months ago, the snow and the ice. We had our group of airfield maintenance employees were there on site in our mission support center. There are bedding areas, et cetera. So we had to make sure that they were spaced far enough apart, and essentially they lived there for a week, working 8 hours on, 8 hours off. Without COVID, it's a difficult process. With COVID, it's an extremely difficult process.
Speaking with Glen Thomas, he is the spokesman for the Memphis and Shelby County Airport Authority. And Glen, now that things are sort of loosening up, as I think we would say, at what point in time did you and the head folks with the authority start to make decisions on, okay, well, maybe we can start to move forward, and we see the country moving forward with flights picking up and more activity and things like that? How did you all go about that process?
Well, really, everything when it comes to airports and the airline industry, everything starts and ends with demand. So everything follows demand. So as demand picks up, you see flights, frequencies, et cetera, getting added. You see the airlines responding to that. Just as a year ago, a little over a year ago, demand essentially dropped to almost nothing. And suddenly the airlines, they're not going to fly a bunch of empty planes for long.
Right.
So they cut that service back. So now we're seeing some level of activity returning, and we're seeing the airlines respond to that, especially with their summer schedules. Granted, we're still, far from where we were in 2019 during this time, but we are seeing some signs of optimism, especially as people get vaccinated and certain areas begin to drop some of those restrictions.
Absolutely. And in terms of that, in terms of traffic, we hear nationwide, many of the airports are seeing, over 1 million plus folks, for a day, in terms of, leaving and coming and going and things like that. What kind of numbers are you all starting to see now that things are starting to move a bit and airlines are starting to loosen up and restrictions are starting to loosen up in terms of the numbers here? What are you seeing so far?
Well, we definitely saw some interesting numbers in March. This was an atypical year for many reasons, but it was an atypical year with spring break because oftentimes the spring break time period is somewhat coordinated and consistent across the school systems in this area. This year, we really had two significant spring break periods. One was March 11th through 15th. The other was this past week when Shelby County Schools was out. And I believe the 11th through the 15th was some of the suburban schools in DeSoto County, for example. But so it spread out the traffic, but an interesting trend emerged during this time in that I think we had about 26,000 come through the checkpoint in that first week, the 11th to the 15th. And then March 18th through the 22nd, there were no area spring breaks scheduled, but then there were 27,500 passengers and employees that went through the checkpoint. And then last week we had a little over 2,600. So if you look at it, traffic was up, but our busiest week was a week in which there was not a spring break. So we're not exactly sure what to draw from that. Was March really kind of one big spring break, or is this a sign that overall travel is increasing as well? So and time will tell on that.
Absolutely. I didn't mean to cut you off. So as we moving forward now, we're into April, and things are starting to warm up, and we're going to soon be into the summer months. Do you all forecast? I know this is a very atypical situation, but can you forecast what you'll see maybe the next few months down the road?
Well, it's a little easier as the airlines begin to solidify their schedules.
Okay.
And in the past, they would do that months out. And what we've seen with COVID is that the airlines really, anything beyond a month out on their schedule is probably not set in stone. And that's really, it's indicative of how they have had to change their business models because they can't commit to a flight when they don't know what is going to happen 3 months from now.
Wow.
But we are seeing, some signs of them beefing up for the summer when kids are out of school. It's typically the vacation time of the year.
Sure.
And another point to make is that business travel, we have not really seen that return to any degree. Leisure travel right now is carrying the airline industry.
Wow. It really, when you hear it coming from someone like you who deals with this on a daily basis, it is really telling. And it really does speak to just how dramatic this whole COVID-19 episode that we've all lived through has been. And now that, as you say, airlines are starting to loosen restrictions and starting to build up a bit, we really need folks to get vaccinated so we can try to start to, be able to hang out with each other again without wearing masks and travel and do other things, as time moves along, so we can get the economy moving again. You sound like you're cautiously optimistic in terms of what lies ahead in terms of a business model. Am I picking up on that?
Yeah, I think that would be accurate to say we're cautiously optimistic. I think all of us are wary of trying to predict the future at this point, but certainly we're seeing some signs that travel is opening up a little bit and people are eager to travel as long as they feel that it's safe to do so.
Absolutely. Glen Thomas, Memphis and Shelby County Airport Authority, thank you, my friend, for taking a few minutes out of what I know is a busy schedule to visit with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chip. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Take care. Well, that was interesting. Glen Thomas, of course, from the Airport Authority, saying that, even travel right now is a cautionary tale. Things are picking up little by little, day by day, week by week, month by month, but we're not out of the woods yet. And we're going to have that conversation a little bit later in the second half hour of the show when I talk to Dr. Manoj Jain. But as we go to break, when we come back, we are going to talk all things, let's just say radio. And let's just say WYXR. I have the two gentlemen who run the operation over here on a daily basis. That would be Robbie Grant. That would be Jared J.B. Boyd. This is Real Talk Memphis. We will be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from our partner, Spaces Group. Spaces Group is a commercial furniture dealership located in Memphis, Tennessee and Jackson, Mississippi, specializing in furniture for the corporate, healthcare, educational, government, and not-for-profit markets. For more information or to start your project, visit spacesgrp.com.
Support for WYXR comes from Crosstown Brewery. Now available, the Studio Session IPA, Raised by Sound, brewed in collaboration with WYXR. For more information, crosstownbrewery.com.
Crosstown Concourse was founded on the idea that we are all better when we are together, which can be difficult these days. Luckily, Concourse has over 1 million square feet of indoor and outdoor space, so you can spread out while you hang out, eat out, or work out. Learn more at crosstownconcourse.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday, April 5th. I am Chip Washington, your host, and I am very pleased to have in studio with me right now. In studio, how about that? In this land of COVID. This radio station, fine radio station, WYXR 91.7 on your FM dial. A crosstown radio station. Started in October. I think JB said the 5th of October. Right. October 5th of last year. And this station, first of all, it's at the Concourse Crosstown Complex. And if you've not been down here, you really need to come down here and just check this place out anyway. But this radio station was built from the ground up, ladies and gentlemen. And I am really happy to have the two guys that make the engine go. Program Executive Director Robbie Grant and Program Manager Jared J.B. Boyd.
Hey.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on?
How y'all doing?
Good. We usually do the Real Talk before Real Talk.
I know it. I know.
So,
well, look, first of all, thank you all for giving us a few minutes of your time. And by the way, program note, they will be hosting Talkin' Memphis right after this fine piece of radio broadcasting. Yep. So you need to stay tuned to that for sure. So, first of all, I want to publicly say how much I really appreciate the opportunity, seriously, to be on this radio station. This is a music station by trade, and it is a community radio station. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I really want to thank you guys for the opportunity, for allowing some of us talkers to come on and do this. I mean, it really does mean a lot, and I really appreciate it. I really do.
Well Chip, I think that for one, you're very kind, and also you're very dedicated to this, and we truly appreciate that. But I'm reminded, just looking at you right now, that man, you're working extremely hard during the day to help keep people of Shelby County informed and safe through this pandemic. So, if there are any people who have been all-stars of this period of time that we're in right now, you've extremely stepped up to that task to be the Paul Revere of sorts for something that's extremely, extremely difficult for a lot of people to get their heads around and grasp their minds around. And in my line of work, I don't want to go too long, but in my line of work before this, I saw what a lot of what you deal with each day is like, and sometimes information can change at the drop of a hat, and people are looking and expecting the most accurate information, and they want to know who's responsible when stuff seems like it's the wires getting crossed. So I just want to appreciate you and celebrate you. Yeah. So thank you so much for sticking with it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Those words. Now that we've flattered each other sufficiently here, we can move on to the next thing. Okay, but here's what I want to know, because this clearly was a journey and a passion for both of you. Mm-hmm. And this, as I said, this station, I mean, it was dust. And I mean, walk me through, if you guys can, the journey of putting this whole thing together. And now we are at WYXR FM.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think dust is quite there, but it was, it was a great jazz station, WUMR, for many years. Okay. And, the university was looking to do something different with it, something that would involve the community more and involve students more. Mm-hmm. So they reached out to some people in the community and decided that, they wanted to do something different with the station. So that's kind of ground zero for where I came in and started talking to all the players involved about what it could be. And with the pandemic, there was going to be a a transition where like one day it was, UMR and we kind of led up to switching it over, but then the pandemic happened and there was nobody on campus. So they decided in April to kind of shut it down. So I think in your mind, you're thinking that's where it was done. So it was quiet.
Right.
It was quiet for a few months just because of staffing and that. So when we launched on October 5th, we launched with 70 plus volunteer programmers, and like you said, we've got a focus on music. But you were one of the first folks we talked to about doing some really important community talk radio. So here's where we are today. So,
well, look, when you look at the collective whole, and both of you, bring a certain dynamic to this. Robbie, you were a musician, and you were in some bands back in the day. JB's just like and I really don't know your background, JB, but you're like a music historian. Like I've never seen. This guy knows. I mean, you mentioned the name, and JB's like So I mean, it seems like a very good mix along with Shelby. Talk about the how it is you all work together as a collective team because I mean this can be a challenging deal.
Yeah, I mean there's three of us. I mean Shelby McCall's our operations coordinator, and she knew a lot and does some commercial radio stuff, but she was with WMR, so she helps us on the production side. She's really good working with the programmers, and she helps us a lot with our paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork involved with the FCC and et cetera, stuff like that. And then I don't know. I mean, JB and I, we just kind of we actually met really about when we were talking about this station. So our friendship and work relationship kind of blossomed as we started talking about this, and we just, not only have we gotten to know each other or, work on the station together, we've also gotten to know each other through this process. So it's been cool.
So 6 months, a little over 6 months now, JB, what do you, I know you all had, I don't know what your expectations were initially, but you're 6 months going on 7 months in. Right. Where are we? What do you see now? How pleased are you with where things are to this point?
Pleased would be an understatement. I'm over the moon about what we've been able to accomplish here, and I'm inspired by the opportunities that lay ahead. I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, however many years ago, I'm sure people would have thought, when I was in high school, the recession was the big thing. It was like, man, how do we get through a recession? Now we're getting through this. Like, wow. Yeah. And so we've kind of been in the dark here. As many people who are enthusiastic about it, over 2,000 followers on Instagram, 1,000 plus followers on Twitter, folks, chattering on Reddit and Facebook and all that. There still haven't been that many people in the building, not like there were prior to this pandemic. And our focus right now is to not say, okay, when the city allows and the world allows, that people have to come in here and get to know us. We want to get out in front of people. And that's Whitehaven, that's Fraser, that's Collierville, that's Germantown, that's Orange Mound, that's Parkway Village, Westwood, everywhere. We want to get out in front of people and let them know that we want to have a station where anyone can wake up in the morning, and if they don't see something that reflects them first thing, then wait a few hours, and maybe it's when sun goes down, you might hear something that makes you proud to be from this region, that makes you proud to be connected to this region. If you don't live here, if you're listening online, that makes you want to share with someone else. That makes you want to be involved, if not within these walls, out in the community, and gets you revved up, and you can take that away with you wherever you go. And so I think that the big thing now, and sometimes Robbie knows I make announcements, without clearing, is that we're about to get geared up for this very first pledge drive, and so that's what it's going to be all about, is letting people know who we are and introducing ourselves.
The C in community, man, that's what it's all about. Yep. And so and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. We're all going to be involved in it, and I'm like I said, I'm gonna do my best to shill as much as I can. And I have donated to this radio.
I will say thank you so much for you're donating already, and leading by example.
Well, I because I believe in this, and I believe in what you guys are doing. This is community. I mean, and if there is anything to me that will bring people together, it's something like this. I mean, music and just fellowship, and you have, like you say, you have every genre from gospel to R&B to rock to to jazz to everything. I mean,
real talk.
I wasn't gonna say that, but that's fine. Yeah, Real Talk Memphis. But yeah, go ahead.
Chip, this is the thing. There are so many more things that we want to do, and we don't want to do it until we can do it right.
Right.
And you don't have to be an all-star programmer to be able to do it right. You just have to be true to the space that you occupy in this community. And so we hope to expand and evolve our vision for what good programming is, and bring those people along with us, those who maybe have some experience under their belt, who can, each one teaches one. And so I think of people like yourself who are really great at what they do, and sort of we knew that of you, of your past work, but I think of people like a James T. Boyd, again, no relation, who I had to sort of go and find them and hunt them down and say, hey, man, I've seen you perform on stage. I've seen, I know that you love music. I want to see, and I've seen you sit outside a Havana Mix on Peabody and sort of chop it up with everybody. You're someone who brings people together. I want you to sit in this chair and do that, and we'll get you there. And so there have been people who have trusted us to pull them along on this journey.
Well, you know what? I am extremely proud of both of you, and really proud of this station, and more importantly, to what it's going to be in a year or two. And Robbie, you got to. I mean, the potential is endless, I think.
Yeah. We're so excited to, like I said, get out in the community, and events. When events start happening later this year, we're going to be involved. We're going to put some of our own on. We're going to be involved with a lot of other concerts and events and going on in the city. So we're excited.
Well, I tell you what, Robbie Grant, JB Boyd, you guys, thank you so much for taking some time. And again, y'all don't go anywhere after this show. They will be hosting Talking Memphis tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. right here on this fine radio station. We'll take our final break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about COVID for real. Dr. Manoj Jain will be my guest. This is Real Talk Memphis. Right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page, and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Looking for some place to showcase your talents while learning about the radio broadcasting industry at the same time? Well, bring your talents to The Roar and WYXR. Join The Roar, the University of Memphis student-led radio live stream where you can serve as a DJ, work in news or sports, as well as several other creative opportunities. We are also looking for U of M students to serve as interns with WYXR 91.7 FM. For general information or questions regarding WYXR or The Roar, please email us at theroar@memphis.edu.
Must be a current student or a recent graduate of the University of Memphis.
Support for WYXR comes from Crosstown Concourse, offering over 1 million square feet of climate-controlled space to freely run, walk, or jog, take in a YMCA class, or grab and explore a bike share ride on the nearby V&E Green Line. For more information, visit crosstownconcourse.com.
Support for WYXR comes from the Orpheum Theater Group, who thanks you for supporting their nonprofit mission to entertain, educate, and enlighten while preserving the historic Orpheum and the modern Halloran Center. More on events, programs, and ways to give at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
Welcome back to Real Talk Memphis with Chip Washington on this Monday. And I told you at the beginning of this broadcast when we started to talk about COVID and the fact that COVID is not over yet, and we are dealing with variants and we are dealing with vaccinations, and there's a lot going on here. So to be able to break it all down for us, I reached out to call someone who can explain it to us. Dr. Manoj Jain is an infectious disease specialist at Baptist, and he has been dubbed the Memphis Dr. Fauci. So,
thanks, Kip, for that introduction.
Dr. Jain,
warm.
Man, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us tonight. Okay, Dr. Jain, you're a man who tells it like it is, and you tell the truth. A lot of folks out here are starting to come out of their cocoons a bit. You know, the masks are coming off, things are moving. You know, we're getting vaccinations going on. Break it down to us where we are with COVID and what are our challenges right now?
Sure. So I can say this, the good news and bad news.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the bad news, we are not out of the deep woods yet. We are not out of this COVID pandemic. So that's the bad news.
Okay.
The good news is it is enormously better than what it was, the situation over the past year.
Mm-hmm.
So we are clearly seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and it really looks like something that we can really grasp onto. So we want to make sure that we continue what we've been doing before a little bit longer. That includes the masking and distancing and no large gatherings. But on the other end, with the vaccine, there is clearly a great deal of hope. And yes, people getting together with families who have been fully vaccinated, that's a great idea. And they should do that and encourage those in the family who haven't been vaccinated. Hey, get vaccinated, and then we can get together safely.
Dr. Jain, talk a little bit, if you will, about the variants that are occurring not only here in Shelby County, but around the country. In some states, cases are going up, hospitalizations are going up, the B117. Kind of break that down for us, if you will.
Sure, absolutely. Chip, if it were not for the variants, I would be celebrating, and we all would be celebrating today that we have won a victory against this virus, because we would not have been seeing the number of cases go up like we've seen in New York, Illinois, Michigan, and other places.
Yeah.
If the variant takes hold in a big way, then what we are going to see is another wave come on. And it is the B117, or the one that is from the UK, and that is penetrating our community. And it is a race between that variant, the UK variant, and the people who are getting vaccinated. So if we can get the more people vaccinated, we will have less people falling ill from the variant. And at the end, the vaccine is going to win. There is no question. We will have enough people vaccinated. However, in the short term, which I'm talking about 2 to 4 months, if we do not have enough people taking precautions and get vaccinated, we're going to see another wave of cases and hospitalizations. And this time, it's going to be younger people who are going to be really sick, because we've got a lot of older folks who have been vaccinated, which is good.
Yes.
But a lot of the younger folks haven't been vaccinated, so they just have to wait, get that vaccine, and yes, then they can get together with friends and family without feeling as if they're doing something behind people's back.
We are speaking with Dr. Manoj Jain. And Dr. Jain, you mentioned that this particular variant strain, and I know that there's one from Africa or Brazil, I believe it is, but this one in particular, I've heard you say on many occasions that it is 30% more deadly and 50% more contagious, which really kind of makes it a particular challenge, does it not?
Absolutely, it does. So the UK strain, which you're talking about, which is more deadly and which is more infectious, and that's why what happens is whatever limitations that we were putting on ourselves by not going about without with the mask, we were putting the limitations and large gatherings. We were able to keep the numbers down. But when you get a new virus strain, which is more infectious, then all of a sudden it gets a foothold in the community. It seeds the community. It causes clustering to occur and causes community transmission. So that's what's happening, is that we are seeing that UK strain. And lots of times, there is COVID fatigue. People are just sick and tired of this thing. They think it's gone away, but honestly, it hasn't.
So when you look at the data and you do a lot of sequencing and testing and things like this, and we have seen this B117 thing is just really taking off almost like wildfire. I mean, are we on I don't know how you measure risk versus reward in terms of this, in terms of the shots. I do know, I mentioned earlier that starting, today, anybody 16 and older can get vaccinated. But a lot of young folks, you and I both know, aren't too interested in that. So I guess the real challenge is trying to get them to understand the sense of urgency, because Dr. Jain, I have heard of some folks actually contracting this new variant from a young person, who may have gotten it from who knows where. So talk about that, if you will, just a little bit.
So I am quite concerned about young people. And yes, they are risk takers. But what is the point in taking a risk when you have something that can protect you? Mm-hmm. And honestly, if you look in the long term, the complications of having a disease like COVID, 10% get brain fog weeks and months after the disease. People lose their sense of taste and smell acutely when they have the disease. It's really avoidable, and people should think about the benefits of the vaccination and the risks of getting the disease, because long term we still do not know the many complications that can still occur after having the disease. And young people may not have symptoms now, but clearly they can have long-standing, long-lasting symptoms later on. So people should really think about the benefits of this. And if you want to think about it from another perspective, think about your family. Mm-hmm. Think about people you go to church with.
Absolutely.
Think about a gathering that you're going to be in. Suppose somebody wasn't vaccinated by chance. You could give that virus to them. And at the end of the day, we want this out of our community. We don't want to be dealing with COVID. We've done that successfully with other diseases, right? With Ebola, with MERS, some of the other diseases that have come. We have got them out of our community, and we can do the same with this. But it's going to take persistence, and it's going to take collaboration and community to do it.
So as we wrap up, from what you see right now, from the research that you do, the hard work that you all do on a daily basis, the data that you see, do you have a particular, at this time, a timetable, kind of, an internal clock as to when you think things might ease to the point to where we can actually get back out here and live some semblance? It may not ever be normal again, but do you have maybe the end of summer, fall? What are you thinking in terms of that?
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is the next 2-3 months,
okay,
this UK variant is going to be very difficult for us. We are going to see an increased number of cases.
Okay.
And that rise may not be very much if people more get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. By the fall and the winter, I'm really thinking that things can calm down a good bit, because we will have a large percentage of people vaccinated, or at least, approach that level of vaccination which we seek, which is herd immunity.
Right.
And then we're going to be chasing viruses, 1 or 2 clusters here and there, and life can finally come back to normal. Now, this is if we all work together,
right,
keep our masks and distance right now, and not allow large spread of the virus, and if we can continue to get that inch up day by day on the vaccination towards herd immunity.
Dr. Manoj Jain, our Dr. Fauci. Dr. Jain, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to visit with me and our Real Talk audience tonight. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
My pleasure, Chip, and thank you for all what you do and also all of the people of this county and city do. I really appreciate the effort that we've put into contain this virus.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that was a very enlightening and educating segment, and I hope that you paid attention. I know we're all getting sick and tired of this. I mean, all of us are sick and tired of wearing a mask and the whole 9 yards. I have to walk you when you walk into the Crosstown Concourse. You have to wear a mask, and I had to walk back to my car because you just forget about it. You know, you're walking around. It's beautiful. It's 77 degrees, and I have to commend Adam Padgett. He is my producer, one of my producers, and he got his shot today. He said he barely felt it, and he's 18 years old. So, Marquette's sitting over. Look at see, Marquette has a phone thing. He's looking at his phone, but he know I'm talking about him over here in the corner. we got to urge Marquette to get his shot. So if you hear this broadcast, you know Marquette, his mom tell, get that vaccine. That vaccination, get that vaccination. We're going to do it. There we go. But listen, this has been a great broadcast. I really have enjoyed it. I feel a little energized. We took a week off last week, and we're back this week, and we had some great guests. I want to thank each and every one of them. Glen Thomas for being here. I want to thank Robbie and JB for dropping in on us and entertaining us for a few minutes. This really, I don't. If you know me, I don't just say stuff just to say it because that's just not me. But I really, really enjoy watching what they do here, and I really enjoy where they have come from beginning to now. And again, I'm humbled and honored to be a part of this. And listen, you can donate to this fine radio station. This is a nonprofit community radio station. So please feel free to donate to WYXR. We need you. WYXR.org/donate. Okay. And just give something, if you look, you can hold off on the new kicks and whatever it is else that young people buy these days. I have no clue. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Search WYXR. You can find us at WYXR_Memphis. So as Adam plays me out, we appreciate you once again being with us. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all. I know that 2 or 3 or 4 of you listen, and so if you all take that energy, because we're a podcast now, and go to wherever you get your podcast and subscribe to this fine radio station, and you'll be subscribing to this show as well. It's a good thing, isn't it? Anyway, I'm about to leave here, go home, get some food, sit in front of the TV set, and root for Gonzaga to win the national championship. Talking Memphis live with Robbie and JB will come your way in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, in between time, you guys be good. Take care of each other, support each other, encourage, motivate, and love each other. And until we meet again next Monday, hopefully same time, same channel, I'm Chip, and I'm out.